Hey everybody, welcome back to PC Perspective. We are here with our Gigabyte Z97 live stream. We have Leon with us again, and now we've looked over the different series of motherboards and talked about some of the features that they each share and what differentiates them. We're going to look at the App Center that you guys have and kind of what technology that has. We're going to go through the microsites that you have, what information people can get from that. We of course have some Q&A planned, and if you stick around at the end, we will be giving away a Z97X Gaming 3 motherboard. So if you want to win the free stuff, hang around just a little bit as we get to the end. And if you have any questions and you're in the chat room, make sure you ask them in there. You can send them to the account questions, who is in there now, and we'll filter them back to us as well. So let's go ahead and jump back in and take a look at what the software you guys have for this generation can do.
Okay, so Gigabyte has actually included a software suite. It's actually in all of our driver disks, so you can actually find that there or even online at the Gigabyte site under support. You can find App Center. Now right here shown on the screen, I do have an App Center. Now you can see I have App BIOS, Smart Recovery 2, Cloud Station, and Smart Time Lock. Now these aren't the only applications we have, but we haven't installed all of them yet. Ryan was kind enough to install the system for us a few days beforehand, and this was running off of the Z97X SLI that we have here that we can show you.
That's right, we've got our demo system hooked up here. This is the Z97X SLI. We've got a pair of Gigabyte Gigahertz Edition
780s, NVIDIA
GTX 780s.
Right. And also you can look at, you can actually see at the top right edge there's the red heatsink for the motherboard, and we're using Corsair memory, which actually match very nicely.
It does match very well, yeah.
Yeah, so good choice, Ryan.
Of course, I always color match all of my components for all the time, absolutely.
So jumping back over to the App Center, you can see that these are some of the apps. There's a lot of cool features that the App Center itself can do. We can actually move items around depending on what we use first. What we use most, but most importantly, we have a live update feature. Now, Ryan's going to show us right now what the live update feature can do. We've done something earlier where we had no apps, and now we've installed some of the applications into the program, but you can see right now it searches for the different components that you have. It searches within also App Center to see what applications have already been installed.
Okay.
So we can just jump through this really quick.
So it's not just looking for what Gigabyte has on there, but it's also, I mean, it's looking for, I can see Intel management software, the graphics driver, the network driver.
So we could just pause right here just to show everyone. You guys can see that there are things that aren't associated with App Center, but is associated with the motherboard. So you can actually update your motherboard drivers from here.
Okay.
So it'll allow you to update, like you said, Intel Management Engine, Intel HD display graphics drivers. All of these can be done straight through App Center, which makes it easy for users who don't always like to go to, manufacturer websites and search for every individual updated driver. You can actually do it with a click from here, go into the all at the end that you see on the screen, and it'll actually go through. You can actually select the drivers as well as the other applications that weren't installed. And you could just do it right here through an update button. And this will actually go through, download it, and install it all at once. So we can actually just fast forward this for all of you guys to see.
We can absolutely fast forward through all of this. So it's going through all the installations. There's a couple times where you have to, like that, where you have to complete a different kind of, yes,
setting,
next,
yes.
yeah, for the Intel software. And there you go. We obviously sped up a little bit to conserve time on video.
Okay, and so that's App Center for all of you guys. So if you guys do like that kind of convenience, you can definitely find it here. There's other neat features that we've done. We've also included, you can actually see, I installed it because I was playing with it earlier and I got very annoyed with Windows 8 when I try to click that on the taskbar, the start button. I was actually clicking it and it shoot me straight over to that Metro tile there. So I installed our Gigabyte Smart Switch, which actually gives you the convenience of actually having a Windows 7 start menu. And I can actually go through all the programs and everything here. And that's basically some of the neat features that we do include with our motherboard. And you can find it in the driver disk or even online if you can't find your driver disk anymore.
Okay, cool.
All right, so moving on. I want to show all of you guys, this is the first time we're actually talking about it. We've had it before, but this is the first time we've done it. This is a revamped Gigabyte site. So if you guys haven't seen the Gigabyte site lately, check it out. This is Gigabyte, www.gigabyte.us. We've switched it to a more modern look. You can find your drivers, your support, new products a lot easier. We have some microsites that we've been showing you guys throughout the day today, like our gaming one, our ultra durable performance and mainstream, as well as our overclocking microsite. Now, let's just go through it really quick, and then I have something special to show all of you guys at the very end. All right, so quick thing, when we went over our gaming, these are some of the features we talked about. If you guys didn't catch on a lot of these, we have a lot of neat features like killer networks. We have their gaming NIC. We have an Intel NIC. We're using VRM power designed by IR. We have SATA Express and M.2. These are all next generation form factors. So if you do have questions about these, definitely ask in the Q&A. We'll try to get to all of them if we can. I just want to show you guys all of these things that we've talked about already, just so you guys have a better understanding of what you're getting when you're looking at a Gigabyte motherboard. Okay. So this is all from our performance series. You do see we have a lot of, it's an all-around performance, all-around performer. It has all the next generation stuff that you can look for, as well as some of the other features that you might need, like two-way graphics. Okay. Moving forward, we have our OC. So our overclocking, we talked about features like OC ignition. We have the DIMM switches for our PCIe, as well as our DRAM. We also include an OC brace if you're doing out-of-the-box or out-of-the-case test benches. You can actually use this to stabilize your graphics cards that are on.
When you have four-way Crossfire or SLI working, obviously you want something to keep all those graphics cards from snapping off at the PCI Express.
Right, and we've actually had some issues before where that actually happened.
Right.
So this is a really good solution for those that actually they're trying to figure out, how do I keep it stable rather than taping it up or propping it up with something. So this is definitely a good choice. Also, if you guys didn't get a good explanation of all the buttons we went through, back here on the site, there were a lot of buttons.
If you need a cheat sheet, here is the cheat sheet.
Here's a cheat sheet for you guys. So
there, that motherboard.
All the buttons, we went through the basic uses of these, but definitely you can find more in-depth descriptions of what each of these do, and also in the manual. So if you do purchase this motherboard, you'll find all of that information in the manual as well. The last thing I want to talk about with you guys would be our gaming series. And with gaming, like I did mention several times, this time around our focus is audio as well as network. So with our gaming series, you can see that we are sporting the Soundcore 3D. Now this chip is actually from Creative. It's actually a quad-core audio processor. Now we're the first manufacturer to actually put a quad-core processor for audio on our motherboards. Now this is one of the more unique things. We're using high-end Nichicon audio capacitors. These are electrolytic capacitors. This is something we want to differentiate. We know that we've been saying all solid capacitors for the past few years on our motherboards. It is all solid capacitors when we're talking about durability of the motherboard.
Right.
So for all of the motherboards you see here, all of these are all solid capacitors. But when we separate from the audio side, these are the ones that we're using with electrolytic capacitors. And we're using the high-end Nichicon capacitors.
Okay.
And because of that segmentation that you actually see on the board, you won't exactly feel the difference, as the Nichicon capacitors won't actually hit those temperature levels because you're not pushing it as hard as the digital capacitors.
Right. That makes sense. Okay.
And then also our op amp. We have the upgradable op amp, like we said. This is an operational amplifier, and we also have gain boosts on some of our boards. And more importantly, we have a great software suite for the Soundcore 3D, as well as our regular amp up audio. We've talked about the USB DAC and the USB DAC power, how it's a separate power source. And then also we've shown you guys on the board, but we haven't shown you guys what it looks like. This is actually kind of a mock-up of what it looks like when you actually have that path lighting and noise guard set up. So it's actually a great way. This is a dedicated hardware zone. You can see the Nichicon capacitors here, the electrolytics, and then we have the all-solid capacitors above right here on the digital side of the motherboard. And then a different software suite for those of you, for all of our motherboards out there.
All right.
All right. And this next thing, so with all of this, we know this time around, again, like we did mention, feedback, that's something we rely greatly on. We rely on all the feedback you guys have to give us in the comments below. Also, feedback that you might send to us at Gigabyte USA on our Facebook page. These are all things that we use and we actually send back to our R&D team. We've actually designed, this is the first time I'm showing this to you guys. This is our gaming website. This is officially definitely only for gaming. This is focused around gaming. You can find it at g1.gigabyte.com. If you can't remember the link, check our Facebook, check our Twitter account. We've actually posted it a few days ago. But you can actually see this is where you can find a lot of information on our gaming products, as well as what's new about Gigabyte G1 Gaming. So we actually have a really neat flash here. We'll just let it load. And then as you can see, the site is still a work in progress. A lot of these aren't really available just yet, but definitely check back soon, check back often. There's going to be a lot of cool things going on here as it is focused on gaming.
I know that we understand and appreciate the idea of features coming soon. As well in web development in the world of.
So it's almost done loading, and then I can show you guys what this site's all about. So definitely, if you do get a G1 Gaming motherboard, come back, check out the site. This is really great, and this is the site right here for you guys. And it does a lot of cool graphics. I'm just gonna scroll through it so it looks more like a movie.
That's pretty interesting. I've never seen this implemented in a way like this.
All right. And so basically this is our Gigabyte gaming website. This is our official gaming website, so definitely check it out if you haven't seen it yet, and it's a good thing to browse when you have some downtime.
So is this, if you want to focus on the gaming boards, this will have that information there. Where would they go if they want to look at all the different specs and options they had for Gigabyte Z97 boards in general?
They would go to gigabyte.us.
Okay, all right, and they could find the different series and lineups there.
Right.
To
all the different series,
through.
all the microsites that we've shown you guys today. This is all through this site, gigabyte.us, and you can actually find all the different sites here, or you can actually search for it, and all the product pages will actually bring you to a microsite. If you actually look on the top, there's a little microsite link for it.
Okay. All right, we're going to get into some Q&A. I know we've had, throughout the live stream, we've had some questions being asked, and we've collected some of them here. I think the first one that we maybe wanted some clarification on is on the M.2.
Okay.
The difference of SATA versus PCIe. There was a question of 6 gigabit per second versus 10 gigabit per second. Which ones were compatible and which ones weren't? How would you help us describe that?
So, as you guys all know, SATA 3 is actually running at 6 gigabits per second. That's, if you guys have an older generation motherboard, you can actually find it in the black. If you're using a Marvell controller, it might be in a gray, but it's still theoretically SATA 3. You're able to hit 6 gigabits per second. Now, before with SSDs, that was our bottleneck. 6 gigabits per second, that SATA cable was the bottleneck. So with our next generation form factors and storage options, they, like we said about the additional controller, maybe you guys can see right here.
Yeah, here we go.
The additional controller that we see.
No, go ahead, it's on this side. Yep.
No, okay, that's right. So the additional connector is actually a PCIe.
So we're looking at the SATA Express connection as a whole.
As a whole. So it would be the 2 SATA connectors as well as that additional connector, which is PCIe.
Okay.
So that would actually allow you to hit 10 gigabits per second, and it uses it interchangeably.
Okay. Now what about M.2 then?
So M.2 as well, you can actually see on, if you guys look closely to an M.2, let me see if I can actually pull it up right here. If you actually see on an M.2, we actually have the slot, and there's actually a key right here that actually differentiates your SATA section as well as your PCIe section. So it's actually, with M.2, all of our boards, you can actually see that we've labeled it 10 gigabits per second on the board itself.
Gotcha. It's kind of interesting because that key is essentially the same as the two SATA with the little with the SATA Express connector, right? It's kind of even physically divided up in the same fashion.
Yeah.
So you guys support 10 gigabit per second connections through the M.2,
correct?
As well as through the SATA
Express.
And there are a lot of different M.2 SSDs, or in theory there would be. Some of them will run at 6 gigabits per second, or some will run at 10 gigabits per second.
If they're only using the SATA lanes, they may only, just like MSATA. MSATA was SATA 3 speeds, so that would only hit 6 gigabits per second.
Interesting, okay.
So if you're looking at an M.2, they might sell it in with only a SATA connection or just the SATA part of the connector, and you wouldn't be able to utilize the full part of the
But you would still be able to use it.
You would still be able to use it if they do make it.
There we go.
Right.
Okay. So that there. So and some of them are just keyed differently.
Yeah, if you can actually see that little, in the camera you actually see white, and then all of a sudden there's a little gap right there, and then a small slit of white. That's where that PCIe stays.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, that helps clarify that. How many PCI Express lanes are taken up by an M.2 port or SATA Express
connection? So for ours, these are actually by 2. So it's the SATA signal, and then we have a by 2 for the PCIe.
Okay.
So it would be the 2 PCIe lanes.
Where do those PCI Express lanes actually come from? Are they sourced from the processor, from the chipset?
It should be from the chipset.
Okay.
That handles that M.2, because the chipset is what and that would actually tie into our next question that I saw some user ask regarding the CPU. So with these CPUs, this is a Z97 motherboard, but it takes Haswell CPUs. So any of the old generation CPUs, you can put it in there, and then you're still able to use all the features that we've presented today.
Right.
So you can use a 4770K, which is an older CPU, but you would still have the M.2 and SATA Express functions. So that would be coming from that PCH.
Right. All right. So we'll go ahead and get to that question. So that question was asked by Clonk about, or by ICE about the number of PCIe lanes, and then the one about processor support was from I'll pronounce this wrong, Peleg59, about future support for 1150 CPUs on these boards.
So we support, for our 9 series motherboards, we support the Haswell CPUs, the ones that have been out since last year.
Yep.
We support the upcoming ones, the Haswell Refresh CPUs, and we'll also support the Devil's Canyon that should be coming out soon. And then
it's been stated many times, Broadwell will be supported by the Z97 chipset. So there will be socket compatible, and I think there should not be any significant power differences on that as well. I don't think any of the motherboard manufacturers want to talk about it, but this is what I'm being told from Intel, is that Broadwell support will be in there as well. So it's kind of interesting to think about buying a board this generation and having some confidence in the idea that you could use your current processor, like if you already had a Z87 platform, you could use your current Haswell processor, you could use Devil's Canyon, you could use Broadwell, right? And so you have this kind of predefined pathway of processor support.
It's more convenient for users that want to do the upgrade and are worried that they have to buy a brand new system. And that's definitely a bonus and a plus for all of you viewers out there.
Yeah. Clonk wants to know, does the mainstream Mini ITX board that we have here, does it have Bluetooth support on it?
So, like I said, these boards will actually come with the wireless card if you get the Wi-Fi model. This is actually wireless AC, and it's actually incorporated with a Bluetooth signal. So it does Bluetooth 4.0, if you're curious, and it's going to be running wireless AC.
All right, well, answers that question. Do any of Gigabyte's Z97 boards have official Xeon support? This comes from Skullbringer.
Definitely for support, all of our boards will vary. The best place to check, because dependent on the board that you do get, you would want to go to any of the board. I'm just going to pull up a random one. This is a UD5H, the one that we were talking about in our mainstream. And if you're curious about the support that it does have, click on the CPU and memory support, and you can actually look at the CPU support list. And that'll give you an exact definition of what that board can support versus you going out and buying a CPU and not being able to return it in the end.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. Vernal Turtle wants to know what motherboard functionality differences are there, if any, between if you're running Windows 7 or Windows 8?
Windows 7, Windows 8, definitely that's on the software side. A lot of our software, our App Center is made to support both operating systems. So we do Windows 7, we do support Windows 8. Like you do see here, we're actually running Windows 8.1, and the App Center will load into all of those.
On the gaming side, Humanitarian wants to know if you had any plans on releasing green motherboards for those who want to color match NVIDIA-themed setups.
That is a very good question, and definitely throughout, like I said to all of you guys, we do rely on feedback for a lot of the decisions that our headquarters that they do with the R&D. So if green is something you guys want to see, let us know. That's the only way we're able to get the feedback back to them. We've transitioned over to red because last year we got a lot of feedback saying they want red and black. So the green has been gone for a little bit, but it's not saying it's going to be gone forever.
Okay.
So definitely, if you do want to see green, let us know.
Send
down
them to
here
Leon
in the
and he'll
comments.
spray paint them for you and then ship them back. I mean, it's a service totally included with everything.
So Facebook, Facebook, Gigabyte USA, or you can comment in Ryan's video below and let us know. That's the only way we can get you guys the different colors you guys are asking for. But green is currently not on in the plan
it's
right
It's
now.
not in the lineup right now. Okay. Science guy wants to know how much difference does the audio segmentation make in real-world performance or quality?
Well, for that, I mean, audio is a very subjective topic. So, I mean, for me, I mean, audio, it does make that difference because you're not getting that interference. If you're turning, depends on the music as well. So if you're listening to classical and there's some
I assume game audio as well.
Game audio as well. So, I mean, if you're listening to certain parts of audio where it's quieter, but you have your volume turned down, sometimes you hear that static in the background, and that segmentation will actually increase the performance on that. We actually did a test in the studio. I believe I do have it here as well. I can show you guys. We did some tests in the studio, and I don't have it actually, sorry. We actually did tests, and we showed with the audio segmentation as well as the op amp on the board, you can actually see the different wavelengths in your audio recording. And that actually shows that with that audio segmentation, as well as with a good op amp for the type of genre of music you're listening to, there's actually a difference.
Okay. Audio has always been one of those things that has been very subjective, as you said at the outset, right? Some people, Ken has a better ear for high quality headphones and that type of thing than I do, for sure. And so we kind of depend on each other for input on those types of things.
Right, but we have done the proof for it, so definitely you can look around. We have gone into a high-end studio to actually test that, so that's why we've actually incorporated it into our motherboards, or else there's no point for us to actually incorporate those features.
Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have? We answered the question about the Litecoins. Is the Gigabyte software compatible with older motherboards?
With older motherboards.
Like Z87 or Z77 options?
Well, definitely Z87, we've introduced App Center at that time. Z77, there might be some features that you might not be able to take advantage of. There's some features that, such as on-off charge, that your motherboard might not support that you won't be able to download.
Right.
But you can definitely check App Center to see if there's things that you can use, because @BIOS is now incorporated into App Center. So that's definitely something that you'll use quite often because you need to update the motherboard firmware.
Okay. All right, I think that's, we've got some other questions coming in. What we'll do is, if we have anything else, if you guys think of anything else, hang around after the live stream and we'll interact with Leon some more and answer some other questions that you guys might have. We're gonna wrap up our live stream. If you were watching this live, make sure you stick around at the end. We will be giving away the Z97X Gaming 3 motherboard. And if you're watching this after the fact and you're really disappointed that you did not get your chance to win that free motherboard, you can fix that by making sure you attend all of our PC Perspective live events in the future, right? So, I mean, you definitely gotta do that. If you go to PCPer.com, you'll see our schedule on the right-hand side. You can go to PCPer.com/subscribe and sign up for our little emailing list that we only use to send out notifications when we're going to do live events like our podcast, which we're recording later tonight, or events like this Gigabyte Z97 motherboard live stream. So, Leon, I'd like to thank you for coming out again. It was a lot of good information, a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be back shortly with, I expect you'll be back out again this year.
Hopefully, I look forward to it.
I hope so. We built all this studio stuff, so you guys better start coming back, I guess.
It is an awesome studio, guys. Check out the Facebook page. I did post a quick photo of it. You can actually see a wider shot of the studio, and it's very impressive.
All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next time.